Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's Better on Draft.
Welcome, everybody. Episode 328 of the Better on Draft podcast. My name is Ken. Thank you so much for joining us. We truly appreciate it on this Friday, the day before the Better on Draft Beer Festival over at Jimmy John's Field. If you're listening live, we hope you do show up tomorrow. Say hi. We are going to have some extra tokens to give you. But let's go around. First of all, see what everybody is drinking, starting with our new host, officially, Dennis. Welcome. What are you drinking?
Hello. Happy to be here. I'm drinking. It was a present. It's the Franziskaner Weiss beer, and it's my first time ever having it tonight, and it is fantastic.
And who brews it?
I can't read German.
Okay. It's a very, very German beer. Wendy, what are you drinking over there? Wendy, you're muted. I muted everyone and forgot to unmute you. There you go. Hello.
So I picked up the Oberon Eclipse, which is the new off-season Oberon. I thought I'd be interested to see how it differs from regular Oberon.
And how does it differ?
It is a little more citrusy than the regular Oberon. I really like the can art though. Like I would actually get that as a tattoo. Not that I don't already have the Oberon face as the tattoo, but.
Well, Daniel, are you going to be getting a tattoo of your beer, and what are you drinking?
I mean, I wish I had a camera working this week. I would show you the picture on this. I've got a Beechwood Brewing Mocha machine. It's an Imperial Coffee Porter out of Huntington Beach and 6th medal winner between GABF and World Beer Cup. It's actually pretty good.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about GABF World Beer Cup for our topic today. But first, let's go over what I am drinking. I have got a beautiful 4 Elf from Dark Horse Brewing. It is in a bottle, so that's how old it is. Many, many years old. And of course, RIP, the original milkshake stout from Rochester Mills Beer Company.
I mean, RIP in a can. Let's be real.
I still have so many cases left of that beer. I don't know when I'll get through it, but I know I will get through it for sure. It is also the wintertime milkshake stout seasonals, the 12 days of milkshake stout. That's what I was going for. So I think I got 6 cases of those.
Plus one for me still.
I'm guessing so. Yes. So I guess I have 5 cases left. I don't think I'm going to drink them fast enough to say that you're lucky. You'll be lucky if they're still there.
I only like half of them anyways, so it's no big deal.
Well, we don't have a guest this week as we are kind of resetting the show with our brand new host. But before we go into our topic, which Wendy wants to talk about today, Dennis, our new host, why don't you introduce yourself to the fans? Give a little rundown about what you do, what kind of styles of beer you like, what makes you tick in the beer world. Kind of give us a breakdown, maybe a little bit about that link right under your name. If you're not watching, of course, go to youtube.com, facebook.com, or twitch.tv, all/Better on Draft.
Hi. Well, thank you. That was a very awesome introduction. My name is Dennis. I am in Holland, Michigan. I have been part of the brewing scene for a little bit, I suppose. Used to be a manager at a couple different breweries. Most recently was Guardian Brewing Company over in Saugatuck, and it was a great place to be. I no longer work there. I am a health coach for a company out of San Francisco now. It's great to be able to work remotely, but I still a big fan, friends with everybody around here. I got a website. It's thepintsizereview.com. It started as a joke and ended up being a lot of fun. And people send me beers from all over, and I talk about it. And one thing I like to do, instead of giving it like a number rating, like 5 out of 5 or something like that, I just try and talk about what does it pair with, right? This beer pairs well with a hockey fight or something along those lines. It's very situational. It could be, this beer is really good because it reminds me of my neighborhood bar. This beer is really good because it blew my mind with just the way it was made and the flavors and stuff. It's subjective, and it should be, in my opinion. But that's just a stupid website from a stupid person, and that's me. So, but yeah, What was the rest of your question? I have a dog. Her name's Lulu. She's a 6-month-old corgi, and she's in her kennel right now. Hopefully, she doesn't make herself known too much right now. Happily,
What kind of beers are we going to see from you drinking while you're on the
yeah.
show?
Yeah, if it's wet, I'll drink it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Fair enough.
I like that.
Do you lean towards anything? Like when you go to a
Yeah.
brewery and you're like, oh man, I got to have at least the IPA or I got to have at least the stout.
I want. It depends on the brewery, right? What they're known for. I want to try what they're known for when I'm going for the first time. I want to see what's going to be more seasonal, and then I'm probably going to finish off with something that's going to make me forget something. But yeah, winter's coming. I'm going to be getting to those barrel aged stouts, right? I had a fantastic Oktoberfest the other day, which is what I'm leaning towards mostly for the next month, probably. You know, something a little bit more malt forward. But I would say I'm a seasonal drinker, right? It's going to depend on what it is outside and what we're brewing, what's fresh, or what's not fresh, what's been aged a while, depending.
Stout,
I-
winter only or all season?
Oh, all season, right?
Okay. Just
Guinness,
check.
Guinness is a
Okay.
year-round beer,
Yeah,
right?
there's
Yeah.
no such thing as stout season. Let's get that straight because by definition, then there has to be an IPA season,
Yeah.
and it's time to get those out of there if they're not gonna.
And you know
If they're
what?
gonna pretend there's a stout season.
Dan, that means that there's no such thing as a pumpkin ale season. Give me pumpkin ales all year
That's
round.
No. Oh my God, no. Let's not.
No,
do
that's
that.
not true because pumpkin that has a season because it's when they grow. Even though when we put pumpkin beers out now, the pumpkins aren't actually ripe, so they've screwed
Yeah,
that
now
up a
it's
little
coming out
bit.
in the summer.
I don't think too many people are actually brewing with the pumpkins. I think it's all just the nutmeg and
Some do.
allspice. And you know what? You can make a true pumpkin ale for that. I just believe that you can make pumpkin ale all the time, and I'd be perfectly fine with that. I know Dan won't. I know he's not a big fan of the pumpkin beers.
Barrel aged Starbucks.
I tell you, like a barrel aged, like a latte, like a coffee stout.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty out there. Bottle Logic probably does 100 of them. But without a guest this week, we do have a topic we want to talk about today, and this is Wendy's topic. So, Wendy, take it away.
Well, I've had some friends out of town recently, and their posts on all their social medias keep coming through, and I'm trying really hard not to be envious of the fact that they're traveling to all these different breweries. So, but it got me thinking what my bucket list items were, not what brewery I wanted to go to, what festival I wanted to go to, things like that. So I was just wondering what everybody's bucket list items are. Is there a specific brewery that you are just dying to go to? I mean, I got the chance earlier in the year to go to Toppling Goliath. I still have to get some stuff out about that, but it was amazing. It did not hinder my view of them at all. I would love to be able to go back for, oh God, now I can't even think of the name.
Pseudo Sue.
No, the big festival, the stout that they do.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Oh my
and I'm
gosh,
sure
why did it just blank? It blanked out of my head because I don't have any notes here.
that's all right. Well,
But-
while you're thinking about the festival, let's go around. Is there any beer breweries that you just have not had a chance to visit yet that you really want to visit? Dan?
So not too many left. The only one I would think of is probably the brewery because I planned to go there but got too drunk at Bottle Logic. So that's probably the only one. It happens. I got too drunk. I was gonna go over to Brewery X and whoever makes that straight up off of that brown that we used to drink at the hockey stadium. Or the hockey arena. But yeah, the brewery is about the only one left that I'm like, oh, I need to get there. I feel like I've hit everything else that I want to go to.
Nice. Personally, I just checked one off earlier this year, and that was going to the Burning Foot Beer Festival up in Muskegon, and that was so I didn't know what to expect. Really, I just had a lot of friends like, "Oh, you gotta go! It's so much fun! It's on the beach." I'm like, cool, drunk people on the beach. Let's party. And I went, and it was everything I could hope for and more. Like it was massive. They had a big like metal structure with a giant metal hop on top that would shoot flames out. I was I've been to a few festivals, but that was so much fun and the right attitude, the right vibe. I had such a blast. So if you guys get a chance to go next year, you absolutely should.
Now, were you front row with Ken during the Limp Bizkit cover band?
That was last year, Dan.
Oh, sorry.
There's a Limp Bizkit cover band?
Apparently,
the state of
favorite
Michigan has a Limp Bizkit cover band, a Korn cover band, and a System of a Down cover band. And they do shows together. So yes, there is a Limp Bizkit cover band. Burning Foot Beer Festival is a awesome festival to go to.
Yeah.
Definitely one. If you get a chance to camp on the beach too, on Lake Michigan. I am definitely not a camper, but I used the opportunity to camp while I was there, and it was perfect. Plus being able to just kind of like stumble over to your tent and wake up to the sounds of Lake Michigan were both great. For myself, for a brewery, I really, and this is going to sound like super weird, but I want to go see like the Anheuser-Busch brewery. I want to go to St.
See all that
Louis.
Beechwood.
I want to see the get a brewery tour, like not necessarily because most of these breweries that we go to, like we can get the beers in one form or fashion, whether it's on draft somewhere in a can or bottle from a store. But going to the Anheuser-Busch brewery, like I would love to just go see where they just do something so consistent, so great. Kind of like that Shiner beer tour, a brewery tour that we did.
That's exactly what I was thinking about with that because of the scale that they have there.
Yeah, so I can only imagine how much bigger. Like when I went to the Blue Moon Brewery in Denver last year, and I didn't get a chance to really do like a tour or anything like that. You can kind of just see what's going on, but I don't think it's even their production facility.
I was going to ask, is that the major, like where they make it, or is that just like, like a tap room?
I think that was one of their tap rooms because I think it was called like Blue Moon Rhino, RINO, or whatever. Their acronyms are over there. Yeah, River North. What about you, Dan? Is there a festival? Because we know you just came back from GABF for the second year in a row.
Yeah, that one kind of ruins it. I've never been to the one we do at Jimmy John's. I was going to go last year because I came back before you when I was coming out to Michigan, but due to the airline losing my luggage, I had to go back to the airport that night. Yeah. So driving out to, I can't even think of what city that is. You know me, north of
Utica.
Like 14 mile. Yeah. Going out there and then having to go back to the airport at 8 p.m. wasn't going to work. So that's probably the one festival I'd still want to get to.
Well, that makes me very humble, but I don't think we're that important.
Yeah, I know it's not large scale. Ones that are fun. And I forgot when we were talking about this. That Royal Oak one you and I went to years ago was incredibly fun. Festivals like that are a great time.
When you attend a festival where like it almost the beer is secondary, like the festival part itself, like where you're out there and you're hanging out with other people. It's definitely a lot different from when we went to that Royal Oak Festival because that was back in 2017 or 2016.
Yeah.
So that was a completely different beer scene here in Michigan versus today. Wendy, you talked about wanting to go back to the Toppling Goliath brewery, but what about like beer festivals? Is there one that you haven't really hit yet yourself?
Well, I still have not made it to Burning Foot, even though it gets on my list every year, and every year something comes up that weekend, so I can't go. I tried even blocking it off a year ahead of time last year, and it still didn't work. And GABF. I was in Denver 3 days before GABF last year.
Yeah, last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I missed
right
it.
before we went.
But that also reminds me, when I was in Golden, at that time, I was supposed to do the Coors tour, and I was really excited about that. And they ended up, the day that we were supposed to do the tour, they ended up doing a big appreciation for their employees. So they shut down the plant so that their employees could have some fun before GABF, which I thought was really cool, except for the fact that then I missed the tour.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's one of those catch-22. It's like, oh, yes, good. Treat your employees well. But me.
Yeah, but what about me?
Like, can I pretend I'm an employee?
Right. I'm
like, clock in.
I'll wash
I
some
could come in and
dishes.
do-
Yeah, I'll help you with the bottling. I'll
Wash
wipe
some
some
kegs,
surfaces
yeah.
down. Yeah, wash some kegs.
Heck yeah, I
Uh,
washed some stuff out before.
Dennis, you mentioned Burning Foot, but what about a brewery?
Oh, that's right. Okay, so brews up. I want to go to them all, but right now I have my eyes set on one Batch Brewing Company over in Corktown, Detroit. Really cool people, really cool what they're doing coming up too. But I've been there a couple times, and every time I know that I'm going to be there again, I'm just so excited. So heading to Detroit for Thanksgiving, spend some time with some family, and that's going to be our first stop is hitting up Batch Brewing Company. Just hanging out. I know they get some of their hops from the UP. Their Empire hops, I believe, is what they get from up there. And just they always have solid stuff, always have solid food, solid beers, and just really cool people. I remember ordering beer. Can I get this? And server looked me dead in the eyes, goes, "All right," and just turns around, starts pouring. Like I was nothing, and it was cool. I was like, "You're so cool right now." I was, just a really cool vibe there, and I've been dreaming about it.
I think we've talked about what makes a brewery, and there's definitely breweries out there that can be considered quote unquote small time. Like Batch isn't necessarily the largest brewery, but when you get something that really sticks, like the Alchemist over in Burlington is a great brewery, but it's because of where it is. It's located in such a beautiful area that you can just kind of sit outside and enjoy the Northeast area in Vermont and enjoy the weather and enjoy the nature. And those are always a lot of fun for me. Like I talk about wanting to go to Anheuser-Busch. I do think on top of my bucket list too is going to be Funky Buddha. They have easily my favorite beer that's ever been produced. I love
in
it
Key
every
West,
time I
right?
get it. I think so. Yeah. And it's a beer that just kind of sits on the shelf down in Florida, and I just can't necessarily get it all the time. So going to the brewery would be nice, but also, supporting them by being there, I think is always great. And also trying stuff on draft because everybody knows it's better on draft.
I've heard that name somewhere.
Funky Buddha is in Oakland Park, Florida.
Oh, okay.
I did
No
get the
idea where
chance
that
to go
is,
there
but-
once. And they were promoting their it was the pig one.
Well, it's not the Magnalista Porter because that's
Oh,
Right Brain. I was made with Scrapple
Looking it up.
too. All right, she's looking it
Their
up.
OP Porter,
OP Porter.
but it's a smoked ham porter.
Wait, what? What?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, remember the one made with like $100 bills from Griffin Claws called like Miso Ornery or something?
No,
Whoa.
you're thinking not.
Oh, am I thinking
Griffin
a
Claw.
different beer? Well, that's
So
the Kim Jong-un beer is what I'm thinking
Miso
about.
Ornery was the Kim Jong-un beer. The Big Ass Money, I think is what it was called. And I'm
Made with
trying
like
to
$100 bills.
and frozen pizzas.
No, that's right. And frozen pizzas. We had it back in the very early days of the show. It was an interesting beer.
It's less of a beer
Now-
and more of a soup.
Yeah. So Dennis, you brought up something that caught my attention. So Batch is something you always try to go to every time you come into the Detroit area. So what's everybody's go-to breweries when you go to a certain area? That's what I'm kind of interested of. Because like for me, when I come to Michigan, it's unexpected. And I always make time for it because I really do think Eddie makes some of the best stouts in the country. I've had a lot of them, and he really does make some of the best. And I know he got trained out at the Speedway Stout guys. I'm trying to think of the name of the brewery off my head in San Diego. Thank you. So if he learned there, like he was telling us about, that's a good place to learn. So that's one I always have to go to. But yeah, I'm curious then, do you guys all have must-go breweries when you go to a certain spot? What about you, Ken?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of spots that I typically go to a lot. For me, going to say like Three Floyds is always just like a necessary stop on the way to Chicago. So not necessarily,
example.
Yeah, not necessarily, going there to go there in that area, but on the way to Chicago, I'll always stop at Three Floyds. I think for me also, there was a point in time where anytime I was in Grand Rapids or the Grand Rapids area, I was stopping at Jade and James. I was getting that
the
monkey
peanut butter
butter
stuff.
yeah, and bringing it back. Like that was just a must stop. But now that I go into these other cities, or if I'm going to Detroit myself, I definitely will try to hit up. If it all depends on the area too. Like that's so hard to really say because they're in like different little segregated areas.
Sure.
Yep. You know, I would think something would come to mind, but really nothing. Because like if I'm going up into like Midtown, like I want to go to Motor City, like that's a must stop. Like I have to go to Motor City. I need pizza. I need beer. My Ghetto Blaster, my Nut Bandit. But if I'm going to downtown, I'm probably
like
gonna
stadium
make
area.
I'm probably still gonna make the trek out to Faison.
Good brewery too. Yeah.
Because even so, like I think Corktown is its own little entity.
Yeah.
And there's even another brewery coming up into Corktown by the end of the year that should be coming up here soon. So
it's a really good question though. And to be honest, I haven't had a chance to travel much lately. I mean, ever since 2020, travel's been a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And so some of the places I liked, they're gone, or I just haven't been there in years, just the state of things. But yeah, like you mentioned, when I'm going to Detroit, it's like I gotta stop at Batch. I'm getting the shakes. I need it, And,
Need your fix.
yeah. It was good stuff and good people, and that ties it together, like that whole vibe, right? Festival sometimes is more about the vibe than is even about the beer, and some places are the exact same way. I know this corner of this pub, so.
And before we get to you real quick, another thing too, my new GABF tradition on Wednesday night is going to True and to Dark Black Sky. What's that?
Also a very good brewery.
Yeah, and they're both heavy metal themed, so that's right up my alley. The beer is excellent, but it's also secondary, so it's a great spot. Now, what about you, Wendy? You travel a lot. Is there somewhere you must stops? You probably have a few.
So, we've talked about Batch already a lot on this this podcast, but I have friends that actually make a joke of the fact that I can make Batch on my way home from anywhere. To the point where I actually did a post about it the other day, and I was like, this is definitely on my way home from Troy. Not at all. But girls got to eat. So Batch is definitely one that I will end up at most often. Arclight, it's hard for me to go past them without stopping there. Their Snickerdoodle Porter is one of the best things I've ever had. Agma, it's hard to drive past Jackson. If I'm going out of town, I'm stopping on the way out, or I'm stopping on the way in for sure. And then
March Draftness winners.
Out of state, Indianapolis. If I am in that area, I am going to Deviate Brewing, no matter what. I love their beer so much. And their vibe actually reminds me a lot of Batch.
I'm in.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, from the very beginning, I was like, I felt just as home there as I do at Batch. So that was kind of my thing.
From the Facebook page, going back to beer festivals, and I think this is one that is on my list of things I still need to get to. There's two that I want to get to. One that I'm hoping to get to next month, and then another one next year. FOBAB is coming up in November, the Festival of Barrel-Aged Beers in Chicago, which is easily a top beer festival over there. And then, of course, the Great Taste of the Midwest. There is also a secondary part of that festival. If you get a chance to go with the Coonan Brewers Guild, you don't need to be a part of it. But they take the bus up there, so they drive you up there. You can, room with everyone and, be in the same hotel. Everyone's bringing their own beers, bringing their own home brews. It's a party on the way up there, party all the way back. So definitely a great opportunity to go and, drink beer. Again, Great Taste. That's one of those festivals that sells out every year. It doesn't matter. So make sure you get your tickets early and go hang out there for sure. Carla agrees with me. FOBAB is great. What about you, Dan? Like, you you mentioned Colorado, but what about like, where you are local in
true,
Temple,
Black Sky.
Phoenix, or you go to LA plenty of times? Like what's your go-tos other than
So-
Michigan and Colorado?
So my go-tos actually wouldn't be in the LA area. Well, I mean, if you're in Orange County, Anaheim, you're going to go to Bottle Logic. That's a must stop. But actually, I go to San Diego more, and the two that I need to stop out there every single time are Pizza Port and oh my God, now I'm having a brain fart like Wendy did.
I think it's
Victory
just
at
the
Sea,
day.
guys. Ballast Point are the two that are must stops for me. Every time I go out there, I would try to get to McKellar. That's now closed, and I would try to get to Stone, and it would just never happen because those two are just too dang good as far as that goes. In Arizona, the big one is Dark Sky up in Flagstaff. That's a must stop too. But as far as in Phoenix, there aren't really a lot that are like must go to. The best breweries are in Flagstaff. I know the guys over at the shop told us they didn't think so, but when we did that show with them. But yeah, a lot of the Phoenix breweries are just there. The one I took you to when you first came out years ago, called Fate is really good. But other than that, there's nothing you're like, I have to go there. They're just kind of there.
Well, continuing the conversation with bucket lists, it wouldn't be complete without bucket list beers. What are everyone's bucket list beers? The beers that they just have yet to try, that they've wanted to try, that's always been out of their reach, whether it's been due to distribution, due to the fact that it is just super rare. What is out there for you? Wendy, I'm sure you've got a few.
So my brain fart from earlier, KBBS, that is still to this day the one that eludes me.
That one.
Even though I was able to go there, I still couldn't get any KBBS.
Yeah, KBBS, and then SR71 from Toppling Goliath 2 is another one that is both of them are on my list of beers that I would like to try soon, or one day, I guess you should say. It doesn't matter if it's soon, as long as I get a chance at it. What about you, Dennis?
I cannot remember the name of this beer, but it's from Three Floyds, and they release it every year at their Dark Lord days. Yeah, Dark Lord days. And I've never had it. I know it's gone immediately, and I've never had the opportunity to go to their big old metal festival, right? So I'd like to make that happen someday.
That's actually kind of shocking that, Dan, you didn't pick Dark Lord Day as like your festival, since they'll get like big metal bands there. And
so it's funny, the one that I thought about after we were talking about that is when they did the LA version of the Metal and Beer Fest that the guy didn't get back to us till last minute. I had other plans, and then they've never done it out here again. I don't know if it didn't do well, but they have the one in Philly still. That's on the bucket list. I wish it was still on this side of the country, but
there's one in Denver this year.
Oh, is there?
Yep, December 1st and 2nd.
Oh, we'll have to talk about that offline. We might have to try to make that happen.
Philly has some good beer too.
I'm looking at some of the names of the artists, and I couldn't tell you one of them. I got Primitive Man, Ken Mode. That's a good name.
That's you,
is
baby.
That your band?
The Red Chord. I could read that one.
Where you look at the logos.
Yeah,
and you're trying to figure it out.
Looks like the back of a bus seat, just a bunch of cracks. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
those are the best logos.
There's some that like the one for Agaloch, AGALLOCH. Like you could see it, but then there's some that like I'm looking at this list, and you cannot. There is absolutely no way you're going to be able to tell some of the names of this. And thankfully, because we are online, I can share with you.
Yay!
This could be a game where you just have to guess the name of the band.
Yeah. Okay. This is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of metal bands.
Yeah. So
I have a Mr. Bungle shirt where they did a play on the thrash metal or the death metal logos. Like, this is great. Is that the Munsters? Is that the name of that one?
That's what I saw too.
I think it's the Munsons, like Roy E.
Oh, okay.
This is amazing, and I'm scared of reading him backwards and summoning Satan, but it looks great. I want to go. Ken Mode. That
Yeah.
is your band, but you're covering Depeche Mode.
Yeah, so you go there and it's Ken singing Depeche Mode covers in just a thong and nothing
Yeah.
else.
It's just,
Oh dear
thanks,
God.
thanks for the image. I don't want it.
Oh,
Have
thanks,
this
Dan.
back. I love it.
So yeah, so this is the Metal and Beer Festival. Decibel Magazine puts this on once or twice per year,
Yeah.
as you can see by the giant decibel. So this is going to be in Denver, Colorado. It's presented by True.
It Relapse Records.
Yeah, I don't
Amazing.
know. Again, here's the Little Cottage Brewery, Dan. That's probably up your alley with that.
Probably
kind of
there's
logo.
Black Sky. There's Three Floyds.
Three Floyds.
No,
Yep,
Three
that's
Floyds
nuts.
has done a lot of the metal band Spears, if you recall back in the day.
Well, their Dark Lord Day is a huge metal beer, like metal festival. Like they bring in some of the best metal bands. I would guess. I don't know much about metal bands.
I tried to get tickets like 4 years in a row. We had 3 of us trying to get tickets and we could never get them. So I kind of gave up.
That's
For
awesome.
Dark Lord Day.
Yeah.
Never
But I
give
have
up, never
friends who go
surrender.
every year. Go
They
figure.
don't out in 2022, 2023. So I think you can go next year. Looks like it's May 18th next year, 2024. I don't see any updates regarding when tickets will go on sale. You can get a email notification for when it does get on sale, but yeah.
Do you get advanced tickets, Ken, because of Ken Mode?
I mean, I should just be like, yeah, this is Ken, the titular artist from the band Ken Mode.
Just show up and be like, yeah, tickets for Ken. Awesome. And they'll just let you in. They'll just let you in, man.
Yeah, I'm with the band. I'm Ken of Ken Mode. There
I
you
am
go.
Mode, Ken. Present.
Yeah, so last year Dark Lord Day had Cannibal Corpse,
Dang.
Pelican, Enforced, and a special guest, which this was obviously a promo, so I have no idea who the special guest was.
Yeah,
But yeah, it
Cannibal
happens.
Corpse,
Yeah,
that's
I was.
awesome.
That's what I was saying. Like I recognize the name, therefore I know that it's a decent sized band for what it was. Municipal Waste. That was the special guest.
Oh boy, yeah, that's another good one.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
I need
I recognize the name, so that's how big they are.
Yep.
We'll have to go. I have to go. I must go.
Dennis,
Ben's
what's your
gonna
music?
stage dive.
Apparently,
music
I'm
like?
getting
What do you
socked
like?
in my old age.
my
I'm like,
music.
I don't know who those are.
Okay. I'm a big Dave Grohl fan. Like anything that he's touched, I'm in. He had a really cool metal band that he recorded all the music for back in the day called Probot. He did all the instruments and then had different metal singers singing on that. And that is that I pretty much wore out the CD on that back in high school. Not just metalhead though. I love rock. I love blues. And I don't know, man. Like I used to play a lot of music back in college. Just how I paid my rent. I was in like 10 different bands. So if it has live people on stage, I'm going to probably enjoy something about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick.
Ooh.
Nirvana,
Wait.
greatest thing Dave Grohl ever touched, or overrated?
Oh, I can't say it's overrated, but I'm not gonna say it's the greatest thing he ever touched.
Yeah, see, I think they're overrated, especially when it comes to
Overrated.
grunge music. I've never understood the obsession, but that's my opinion, of course.
That's
Don't wanna
okay.
I don't want 1-star reviews on iTunes. because of it.
They're talking about beer is really cool until they started talking about Nirvana and they suck.
Yeah.
You probably like Pearl Jam better.
No,
Okay.
Alice in Chains. They're still
Alice-
the
Alice in
kings of,
Chains was
of
awesome.
grunge. Yeah.
I was a Chris Cornell fan though, so Soundgarden.
You
and-
very good too. Oh yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. Rip in peace.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Wendy? What's your musical go-to?
Usually musicals.
That's fine.
All right. Yeah.
No, I listen to everything. So my favorite band to see live ever is Papa Roach. They have the best stage
Jacoby and
presence
the
to me.
boys.
They're always so excited to be there, and I love the feeling that I get when I watch them. But I love a lot of different music, so there's really not anything that I don't listen to. I'm not as a fan of the new country as I was of older country.
Well, it's more poppy now, isn't it? Like pop music, basically, or almost like
Yeah,
country rock
Uh,
is
Pop
what it
with a
is these
twang.
days.
you're
Yeah, pop
looking
with a
more
twang.
like country hip hop, like with the
Well, I was thinking
808.
about like that
The
Jason Aldean song that caused all that controversy, things
what
like
is
that.
that?
they in my opinion, what you see with a lot of modern country, because they're adding like the 808s and stuff. There was a pretty good not a documentary, but like one of those YouTube essayists that came out and had like a really professional done and talked like with a lot of people in the industry after what was the Old Town Road guy?
Lil Nas X.
Yeah, the old
Yeah.
Nas X. So he came out and had like this, and then this guy's like, "Here you go. I'm just gonna play a bunch of brand new, country songs," and played all these songs. Like, here's the 808s, here's this, and it's for a lot of people like music is always evolutionary and is always borrowing from other artists. So you're going to see rock get a little bit more country, country get a little bit more hip hop. You know what? Hip hop get a little bit more country.
Well, think about it. If you go back in the day when the metal or the rock and rap scene kind of blended together, like think about Anthrax and what's that Chuck D and Flava Flav band? I can't think of the name what they go by, and Aerosmith
Public
and Run
Enemy?
DMC. Yeah, Public Enemy. Thank you. But then it developed into new metal, which look at Slipknot. They're one of the biggest bands in the world, and and all
Slipknot,
those
yeah.
bands, especially in the early 2000s. So they do blend together and take from each other. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, there was a good documentary series that the Foo Fighters put out a few years ago now. It's called Sonic Highways, and they recorded a song in a different city, right? Each song was in a different city. And when they recorded in Nashville, they got to talk to a bunch of like the old country artists and stuff like Willie Nelson, Dolly Parton, and they're like, yeah, country, like they like their singers and they like their songwriters, but they don't like their singer-songwriters. So that's where you see a lot of like the not musical influence, but the corporate influence, especially modern country as well. And they did a really good deep dive into that. Highly recommend that.
Well, there's, if you look at some of the old country, like the Willie Nelson type country, Johnny Cash, like it is very, very what we would consider like progressive messaging. Like fuck the cops, fuck the police, fuck the prison system, fuck capitalism. Like these are things that everyone was singing back in the 60s and 70s in that genre. And as things progressed, like country, the message kind of changed. And I think Bo Burnham, pretty much puts a cherry on the top of that sundae of how new country is. Like, oh, you're driving your F-150 that's never seen a dirt road before. That kind of thing. I'm actually looking at Sonic Highways. So this was back in 2014.
Yeah.
So a little bit ago.
We are getting older.
Yeah. Well, Dan,
I still think the 90s were like 5 years ago.
Right?
You bring up metal all the time. I mean, what's on your playlist when it's not those metal type bands?
What else do I listen to?
Yeah.
A lot of industrial, it's all metal basically, but industrial is the other big go-to. Be Born Baton put out a hell of an album this year, not too long ago, which has been my jam. I've probably played out, I only buy vinyl now when it comes to buying music, and I've probably played that thing 50 times so far. It's probably halfway through its life. But I like to go towards, some of the stuff like, Taproot. Unfortunately, I had to miss that show, but, some of the not heavy stuff, but, Taproot's great. Chevelle's coming to town where I'm at pretty soon. I'm going to go check that out. Things like that. Not the deep, heavy stuff, but, the more fun, upbeat type of stuff. I'm trying to think like Seven Dust is probably metal. Another one's coming. Or even the fun stuff like a Dragon Force is something I'll go listen to. Some little, what they refer to themselves as video game metal. But yeah, things like that. Just the lighter stuff, but still on the harder side.
My favorite thing to see, if you have not seen it on TikTok, but the lead singer, I think, of Dragon Force is on TikTok, or at least one of the head guys, and he reacts to people who do Through the Fire and Flames, but typically on like non-standard instruments. So
It's
like
a guitar player. Yeah.
Yeah, so he'll be
Determinedly.
like he'll look at it and it's someone doing it on the harp and doing it naturally
Mm-hmm.
on the harp, or someone doing it on a weird, maybe like a Asian type string instrument that not many people know about or understand how it's played. So that's always fun to see.
Yeah, I love watching those. Because he gets this, and I won't take up too much time with this, but the reactions he gets from that, because that's a song, he even explains it. You can't play it on one guitar. You need both of them to actually do it. People try, and the way to see people adapt it is a lot of fun.
I think that's also a big thing with music, especially in 2023, and the ability to get your content out. Wading through a lot of bad content is fine, but there are a lot of people. I can't tell you how many times, if I hear a song and like I want to listen to like an acoustic version or someone do a cover of that song, and it could be a rap song, could be a rock song, but anything like where I can get a different feel for that track. Acapella, like I'll be an acapella nerd. Like I used to watch that Nick Lachey TV show that was like the acapella competition, the reality
I was
show.
gonna say, were you watching Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Oh yeah,
the acapella group they had on there.
Somebody did a Where Are They Now with that acapella group that did the intro theme with the guy with that really deep voice. I was like, Carmen Sandiego. That was my impression. And that's still it's still 8 octaves too high. But yeah, I love reaching out. Sorry, Wendy. I see you're ready to chat. I love looking for alternative content to current music. I was leaving that opening for you, Wendy.
Oh, I like that. Now, I wanted to go back to the acapella thing. So are you talking about just the acapella singing, or like the acapella music where they make the instrument noises with their mouth?
Like that guy like from
one guy's a trombone. I can't remember the name of the group that got really big with that. Yeah, it freaks me out when they do that. Freaks me out. Like I can't handle it.
I've seen the Pentatonics live, and I saw them at the Fox. And they did a no mic song. They did Oh Holy Night. It was their Christmas tour. And at the Fox in Detroit, if you're not unaware, the acoustics there are so like amazing, especially for the time it was built, like how they were able to do this. And I'm sitting in the 300s and they're singing Oh Holy Night, no mics, no extra content, everyone quiet. And you could hear it as if you were standing right next to them. Like that's how bone chilling it was to hear that song from that far away, but all vocal. So yeah, I do like the music. I definitely like a little bit more doo-wop. So if you get like not necessarily like a barbershop quartet, but like the old school like foursome that's singing Motown, like Aretha Franklin, that's the kind of music that I would definitely be more akin to. There is on YouTube, and I've been racking my brain this whole time trying to think of the name of that damn show. Nick Lachey hosted it. That's all I remember. But they did the what's the Caddyshack song? Is it I'm All Right, or is it an actual?
Yeah, the Kenny Loggins song.
Kenny Loggins, yes. They did that song in a cappella, and it was a group called the Philharmonic, which was all Filipino, hence the name Phil Harmonic. And
amazing.
I think it was.
I love that name.
It might have been the Sing Off, yeah. It probably is. You just looked it up. And they did it against like a country group that does like country a cappella. And they got like one of the country guys, they taught him how to beatbox, and it was a fun little event. So like that kind of stuff always, I love hearing, as I said, different types of music, but I know we've kind of gone way off track. This is better on vinyl, better on music, better on Spotify. Vinyl, yeah. You know what? That's fine. It's a fun show today. No guests today. We're here to have fun. Folks, if you're not live with us, join us live Fridays, 7:15 p.m. Eastern. We are on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. You can interact with us just like Carla's done earlier today. Tell us your favorite bands, your favorite artists, what you like to listen to. But there was a question.
That goes for Toots too.
That goes for Toots McCrog. Yes, over in Twitch. I haven't seen Toots show up yet. My question is that when you are at a ballpark, a hockey arena, a concert, when you go to drink beer, do you want to drink like beer that's, solid, easy to drink, or are you still looking for that craft beer when you go to these types of events?
Oh, I totally look for the craft beer.
Really?
Yeah.
I was at the Iron Maiden concert at Little Caesars back in October. 100% found the craft beer bar and was drinking whatever was there. And then even at the State Theater, trying to drink whatever the most craft, like it was like Mango Cart or something, because they have all Anheuser-Busch. So getting the most craft beer possible is what I do. And same out here, Ken, you've been to a show out here. We were drinking Kilt Lifter. Yeah, it's an Anheuser-Busch, but it's Arizona only beer that you're going to find. So that's always fun to find, because you'll find that at arenas. It won't be craft, quote unquote, because Anheuser-Busch bought them or someone to that extent, but it's one of those craft breweries that used to be a craft brewery that they're still producing their stuff.
I think when I say craft, I imply not light lager.
Oh, I see what you mean. But I'm never looking for a ultra or a triple hopped Miller Lite.
I mean, for me, like I'm going to the Lions game on Sunday, and I know damn well, like I'll probably on the way to the arena, we park at MGM and walk to Ford Field. Like I'll be drinking a Tall Boy or Labatt probably on the way there, and then when we get in there, I might. Ice. Yeah, oh yeah. And then on the way there, or when we get there, I don't. The craft beer options, I'm not gonna lie, at Ford Field are trash.
They're bad, but
it's like 4 IPAs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what were we drinking at SummerSlam? It was really middle of the road kind of stuff.
I feel like I was drinking Miller Lite at SummerSlam.
You might have been. And I think I had like a Bell's Two Hearted or something like that, and Mike was drinking similar, and so was Nick. But yeah, that's the best that you get there.
I want to hop in on this because it once again, that's that dependent on the situation kind of thing, right? So if I'm at a game, you're right. You're probably not going to have a really great selection of craft beer. If I see something like a Two Heart or something, I'll get that. But for some reason, I'm going to a hockey game. I'm thinking Coors, like that's what I associate with a hockey game or something along those lines. And I'm not going to be too picky when I get there. For some reason, that's just what tastes like a good time to me while watching a bunch of guys beat the shit out of each other on the ice. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. Oh, sorry. One second, Wendy. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No,
but it's funny. I go to a lot of hockey games in Arizona, and we have a 5,000 seat arena, and they have Grand Canyon Brewing selling beer there. So you can get a good amber at least, or you can get, your generic Miller Lite, Mick Ultra, your $40 double shot of vodka and soda. So yeah, I feel like we're lucky because we have that. And Ken, the beer I thought about when we were in Las Vegas was Golden Road. Get up off of that brown. That's one of those ones that are an Anheuser-Busch owned brewery, but it's nice to find at an arena.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm always going for the craft beer first. If not, it's going to be like a PBR or a Coors, depending on what they have to offer, because sometimes they're not great craft beers.
I heard that PBR is still the biggest craft brewer in the nation.
It's the biggest craft beer in the nation. Ken, you got to tell your Lafindamun story.
Oh my God. So that's definitely I'm about to say a crime of opportunity, which I feel like it was after the amount that I drank. So for me, I'll preface this with, if it costs for a 12-ounce craft beer the same as a 24-ounce Miller Lite, I'm going with the 24-ounce Miller Lite. Not because I want to get more drunk. Obviously, the ABV is probably the same when you add it all up. But for me, I want to be able to just drink the beer throughout the event. Like I want to be able to sip on it. It's just what it is. Like when I go bowling, I drink Miller Lite. I don't drink Alaskan Amber, which they have on draft, or Oktoberfest. I'm still curious how long that amber keg has been there, because it's always on tap, and I've never seen it change. I see the Sam Adams one change. I never see the Alaskan Amber change. But there was a time, so this would have been 2016, 2017. I got this was at Joe Louis Arena, and the Rave tent. Rave is a distributor here in Metro Detroit. The Rave tent, which had all the craft beers and imports and stuff, had Lafindamon 23 ounces for, I think it was like $9. And I looked at it and I'm like, you're joking. Like, this is wrong. Like, it can't be right. And the first one cashed through. And, you know, whenever you buy something and you think the price is wrong, you're like, oh, I'll try it just in case. And the price was right. And I remember just stumbling back and forth, because I didn't drive, so I could do whatever I wanted. And buying Lafindamon. And at the last one, walking those JLA stairs down from the top of the 200s was a experience, to say the least. But I also think at that time, I was definitely still, when in those types of events, I was a ABV per dollar drinker. And Lafindamon is an amazing beer, and nothing against that, but I was definitely drinking ABV per dollar to get the most messed up at that event.
See, and I would have just picked the Lafindamon because it's a good beer.
I think it was a little bit of both. I mean, there are times where I've drank Dragon Mead's Final Absolution because it was the same price as, you know, Miller Lite or something like that. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to drink Final Absolution because I'm going to get really hammered.
Nothing
Where
is
is it
better
the
than
same price?
nothing is better than the $5 Boombas. You could get a Final Absolution at the East Point Pub.
Well, that's insane.
$10 was all you needed for the night.
Yeah, you could get probably like $7.50, 23 ounces at I'm trying to think of whatever a place that I hosted trivia on the east side, and I remember I drank 3, stood up, sat down, and yeah, I stayed there for like 2 extra hours playing music for free because I was like, I can't drive anywhere. Like, I am way too messed up. But
that's as bad as when you were 19 and at Augie's for Boomba night.
I never went to Augie's at 19 to drink, sir.
Sorry, my bad.
Not that statute of limitations is up and the bar is closed, so they can't even get an MLCC. All right, so we have a few minutes left before we take our break for the craft beer news. Of course, you can always join us live. Please join us, chat with us, interact with us, especially when we have a guest on. You can ask guest questions. We're going to be having plenty of guests coming up soon to talk with, just like we had Wendy Yingling on earlier this year. We've also had Jeff and Marcy Larson from Alaskan Brewing. We've had the folks over at Sierra Nevada. We've had the brewery. We've had plenty of the beers that we want to drink, the places we want to go. We've had many of them on our show, so go check out our 400 plus episodes. Who have we not had?
Trogs.
We have not had
Trogs. On our show yet?
Wendy, I have
to go back to that drinking a Mad Alpha till I can get them on the show.
I have reached out to Trogs, but I want to ask you guys one final question, a bucket list, but more of a goal set. So for the year, the fiscal year 2023-2024 of Better on Draft, so year number 9, because that is the year we're in, year number 9 of podcasting. What is your goal for that when we celebrate our 9th year anniversary that you want to be telling us you did in the past year? Is it a festival? Is it a beer? Is it a brewery? Wendy, you are the most traveled, I think, out of all of us right now with all the volunteer work that you do and all the traveling that you do for fun. What is the one thing you want to say you've done this year?
I think I would like to go to Toppling Goliath for the KBBS release.
KBBS release. We're holding you to it. Daniel.
Oh, so I originally was going to say open every beer we have at the 9th anniversary. Maybe at episode number 4.
I hate you so much.
Oh, I wish you were there, Dennis. I wish you were there for that night.
There will be a
but
night.
let's see. Yeah,
I would say go listen to episode 300, but we recorded that well before you opened up every beer.
yeah, that was a good episode. That was a
Very
really
good
good
episode.
episode. Geez, you know what? I'm gonna throw this out here because he told me to reach out to him. Let's get oh God, I don't want to get, who do I want to get? Do I want to get Sam or do we want to get, no, we want to get Jim. Let's get Jim Cook on the here before the 9th anniversary.
All right, we bring back Boston Beer Company with Jim.
Yeah.
Dennis, you're the new guy. It doesn't have to be
I
a better on draft specific bucket list item, but what is your goal for the next year, especially now that you're on the show? Like what are we going to see from you next year?
When's the 9th anniversary?
It'll be October, with the first episode of October 2024.
All right. Okay. We can do a lot by then, and I can do a lot by then. I want to actually get to sit down with everybody on this podcast in a room. I want to drink a few too many beers with you guys. That's what I want to do. And I want to hang out. I want to party, and I want to meet more people that are fans of this podcast, and I want to take it to the next level. I think we can do that. And I'm really, really, really excited.
Well, damn, I don't have to say that now.
It's funny. I ran into people at GABF that listened to it. I messaged Ken when it happened. It kind of caught me off guard.
You're like,
in the
nerds.
nicest way possible, Dan, you do have a look.
Did they recognize
Oh,
you?
I totally do. Yeah. Well, they recognize the name on the badge. I totally have a look. I stand out in the crowd. I'm 6'3". I got this damn beard. I got long hair. I stand out for sure. But yeah, they would notice
sunglasses
it.
on indoors.
Yep. Even at midnight. Yeah, of course.
I'm going to look like a hobbit standing next to all y'all.
No.
No, she. No.
No.
Wendy's pretty short.
Yeah, when Wendy is pretty short. I think she still has Nick though.
I do.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
I
I'm
do.
sure you do.
Not by much.
So I have a few different goals. The podcast goal, I have 3 breweries that I really, really, really want to get on. Or people, I should say, because one of them is Charles Papazian, former president of the Brewers Guild. I want to bring on one day to hear everything from Kings and Convicts. I want the Ballast Point story. I want, even if it's just Ballast Point, I want the Ballast Point story.
Have we reached out to them at all?
Yes.
You ever hear back?
Lastly, I want to be able to, one, present some extra content for everyone here, including getting some stories about breweries that are no longer with us and why they are no longer with us. I think there are plenty of stories out there as to the rise and falls of some of these breweries from, and these are going to be more local to the Michigan folks here. That includes potentially talking with Bobby Mason of Michigan Beer Company, talking with the folks at Cellarman's, to hear that story and see what they're doing. There, Mark Larson over at Falling Down, like, there's a lot of things both brewery owners and fans of beer can learn from these people. And I want to be able to tell that story. So that is my goal by the end of year 9. We bring you some extra content regarding that. And not to hark down as to why they failed or anything like that, but simply to, again, as we do with every brewery, tell their story and hopefully people can learn from it. So that is going to do it. We're going to take a break if you're listening live for about 10 minutes. We are going to come back with the craft beer news. This is the first time I've ever done this. So no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft. Have a good night.
Cheers.
To uplift me, shifty. Everybody set them up, shit's creek. And I just said something embarrassing to Cheryl Teagues. And I'm aware of tease, but I'm staring at a parodies. High five, bro, singing somewhere. 5 or less sign, think about a rise and decide that I'm gross. And find time with fine folks. I'm some ride or die close. I want to ride a unicycle across the tightrope. Like the battle, I might choke. I might choke the shit out of a rapper with the right quote. I hate to be accused of hyperbole. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain courtesy. Yo, I'm 33. Give a fuck about your diet serving me. Insert your favorite surgery. Whole goddamn circus is absurd to me. Return to a mercy, mercy me, murder modernity permanently. Yeah, big perm picturing some urban weed. But y'all are nervous about a turpentine. Running from the gun serpentine. I've had the perfect week. Earth to dweebs. Since I've learned to tweet, I've been like large, extra large, bars, Escobars, hardest and cars, tarnish the stars, charge at the guards, garnish with law, parch from cigars, large, extra large.
Fill my pockets with the wallet of a misanthropic pill, poppin' ill, gotten hit the chill spot, y'all got the pot of chili hot, really not dealing with you Billy Bobs, SOB, silly sob stories, getting gory with the Philly cheese, spill it on my filthy jean jacket, reenactment of a pigeon crapping, pissing in your picnic basket, pitch and catch you sick and fetch, wiggle like you pitched a tent, rhymes and beats so sick you wretch, sitting on your picket fence, you hit the deck, Ricketts job, chop 'em like a chicken neck, second best, something that I'll never be like sick of sex, pick up checks, something that I never do, pickle eggs, something that I never chew, get respect, something that I never knew like revenue, resolute to evolute, get up off my level in your devil suit, I don't need your residue, your resume embellished, mine is bulletproof, bully on cubes for the fennel super friend of few,
large, extra large, bars, Escobars, hardest and cars, tarnish the stars, charge at the guards, garnish with law, parch from cigars, large, extra large, bars, Escobars, hardest and cars, tarnish the stars, charge at the guards, garnish with law, parch from cigars, large, extra large. Exhausted in a soft spot, soft, but I get off, and I thought I might be a great one, beneath it what I make from the songs that I make in layman's, I'm a straight bum, dumb how I radiate, radio made with love, integrated, I'm a grade above, ayo, I'm patient with impatient love, saintly for my space and funds, forever keep a face of fuss, amazingly your taste buds, never make a fuss, I was made a son in 81 and 98, I take some drugs, a couple major ones, still not emaciated, taste the crumbs, turn up the bass to let the basic bump. Banal to my blood stain the avenue. Cats are cool, cashes roll. And we catching all the cancer too. Passing while we chanting mood. Laughing at the manners till I'm pushing up the daffodils. Low hanging fruit. Don't hang with you and yours. She got low bangs. And you a human and humidor. Slow change of views. Movement of a troubadour. All in all, I'm smart enough to know what stupid's for. Low hanging fruit. Don't hang with you and yours. She got low bangs. And you a human and humidor. Slow change of views. Movement of a troubadour. All in all, I'm smart enough to know what stupid's for.
Bittersweet sounds, one industry town. Syndicates drowned by the litigants, hung by our ligaments. Workers losing benefits, criminal interest in it, claiming they're beneficent. We are in a new time, paradigm shifting, and they're telling us we're shiftless when all we do is show off our shifts and shit. Standing on the fiscal cliff, polar bear swimming for the coast, post up and bear witness rope thinner than the hair on our chinny chin. Chilling in chinchilla skin, slipping, sipping chivas, chicken littleish. Sky is falling, dying birds, Mark Fitterich. March in the mist, tear gas, cartridge, carcinogen, sniff 'em in.
Forget the sirens and listen to the words I'm saying. Forget the crunch of broken glass on the feet. Forget the patterns of light reflected off the edges. Forget the bag, get off the street, yo. Low hanging fruit, don't hang with you and yours. She got low bangs and you a human and humidor. Slow change of views, the movement of a troubadour. All in all, I'm smart enough to know what stupid's for. Low hanging fruit, don't hang with you and yours. She got low bangs and you a human and humidor. Slow change of views, the movement of a troubadour. All in all, I'm smart enough to know what stupid's
In wet dreams, I'm on a jet ski with Lily Sobieski, her chesties, besties, we nasty like Nesty. Ration Nesterovich, last in the best league. Cash in the check, getting smashed on the bench while you sweat me. Sweat your last album on Etsy. Your dad's got the best weed. Asking about the time your mom met me. He was in the closet breathing sex steam. He's definitely a lefty. Hefty bags full of testy rags. You could catch me in my dressy pants behind the plexiglass. Yo, text me, I text you back. A picture of my dick is sag, dressed up like the eagle on the Mexican flag. Now what's messing with that? What's messing with that? Hey, what's messing with that? Come on, I wanna hold your hand or whatever. I wanna hold your hand or whatever. I wanna hold.
Honey dip is looking superb. I'm only trying to scoop her boob in the back of the Super Uber. I would've hit her up sooner, but her morning breath is right, so I delight her afternooner. Oops, turned out that this groupie got that grouper. Forgave her dead tooth and her gangster Looney Tunes shirt. This new fox ain't hardly Rupert. I used to do dirt, but that's a new pot of stew stirred. I'm in the nude using June's juicer with goat hooves and loot turnt while she gets loose with Lucifer. You can put that on her booty fur. Yes, first she got that pink berry, no juniper. I was in chains more than Alice. She came to snuff the rooster. All her jewels are pewter. A lady of few words. She got a free 2-life cruise shirt. Rendezvous crew used to do her. With more viruses than use computers. I wanna hold your hand or whatever. I wanna hold your hand or whatever. I wanna hold your hand or whatever. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. And maybe do some hand stuff. And maybe do some hand stuff. Come on, get out your handcuffs. Yeah. Yo, you got them feather joints, right? Yeah, shit's corny, but we're about to turn it out.
Smear your Pele sleeves in peanut butter celery.
Somebody tell that Della Reese's peanut butter celery.
Come on, get up and come on. Now that Cosby can't get Jello free, it's peanut butter celery.
Telling it's a felony, drug and peanut butter celery.
For something healthier than shells and cheese, it's peanut butter celery.
Designing women's Delta B loves peanut butter celery.
I bet you French Ross Geller eats his peanut butter celery.
What? Even if it's lies, the ball tells where she eat peanut butter celery.
Yeah, but that's crossing the line right there.
Pay my bank teller fees with peanut butter celery.
How consumers feel about this new development?
It helps the nuns deal with celibacy, peanut butter celery.
Plant some watermelon seeds and peanut butter celery.
Take some. If you don't like chicken or watermelon, I heard the cat in Interstellar eats peanut butter celery.
Zach makes Screeching Kelly freeze with peanut butter celery.
I'm in the street, Stella screaming peanut butter celery.
In the final old Yeller scene is peanut butter celery.
When your bronchioles swell and squeeze peanut butter celery.
I think that's it.
Loud as melly breathe peanut butter celery. Raw. Raw. We all supposed to uplift me, shifty. Everybody set them up Shit's Creek. And I just said something embarrassing to Cheryl Teagues. And I'm aware of tease, but I'm staring at a parodies. High five, bro, singing somewhere. 5 or less sign, think about a rise and decide that I'm gross. And find time with fine folks. I'm some ride or die close. I want to ride a unicycle across the tightrope. Like the battle, I might choke. I might choke the shit out of a rapper with the right quote. I hate to be accused of hyper.
Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, Kick back and relax. It's Better on Draft.
We are live, the craft beer news segment of Better on Draft podcast. It is October 6, 2023. My name is Ken. Thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate it. If you are not joining us live, join us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, all at Better on Draft. You can join us live starting 7:15 p.m. Eastern. Let's go around and see what everybody is drinking, starting with Dennis. Dennis, what do you got?
I am drinking another gift. It's called the Matsurika. It is a Bohemian style Pilsner with jasmine flowers, and it is by a Brazilian brewery, Jabas Cervejaria. Never had it before. It's fantastic.
Tell our Brazilian friend Linus from Three Gatos to tell you how to pronounce that correctly.
Please do.
Wendy, what do you got over there?
So I took inspiration from our last news segment when we talked about Aldi beer. And when I was grocery shopping this week, I picked up a Festlich House Oktoberfest. It is actually made by Rockwell Brewing Company, which is a subsidiary of Genesee in Rochester, New York. Fest beer is not my favorite style, so I'm just going to leave it at that. It's not bad by any means, and it's $7.99 for a 6-pack. So,
Dan, what do you got over there?
I am drinking a Beechwood Brewing Mocha Machine. Man, you just had me laughing about the Aldi beers with the obvious rip-off labels, too. Those were hilarious.
Well, for myself, I'm going to be finishing this milkshake stout from Rochester Mills and then moving over to another. Well, the brewery isn't dead, but the beer is dead. Sanders Chocolate Stout.
Oh, such a good beer.
Brewing.
Yeah. Get him to make that again.
This was one of the beers that I had purchased for like $1 a bottle at a beer store because they had so many beers that were like out of date. And I don't know if I can find the date. It might be on the bottom of the bottle.
You probably don't want to.
Just drink it and enjoy it. I mean, it's just like the Massacre that I purchased, this 4 Elf. It's probably 2016, 2017.
Jeez. And it's just sitting on the shelf for 7 years.
Yeah,
that was the first time I went out to Old Nation was to go and pick that one up.
This place does not have windows, so I at least knew it wasn't going to be
Those are the best ones.
It's like a casino going into the beer store. Ken came out 10 hours later. $300 later.
After haggling with the guy. Yeah. Still my favorite. He's like, then why do you want to buy it? I said, I'm willing to take the chance at $1 a bottle. Like if it is bad, if it's bad, I got to deal with it.
Do you remember having it when it was fresh though?
Oh yeah, like
because I remember it being
7 years
fantastic
ago.
when it was fresh.
Yeah, it was a great beer. The Bumpy Cake is easily still one of my favorites between the two Sanders that they made.
Oh,
I think I might still have those in my cellar.
What was that, Wendy?
I think I might still have Bumpy Cake in my cellar.
I traded a fan of Better on Draft for a final bottle of Bumpy Cake, and then I like drank it right away because I can't.
I would have too.
Shit,
right in front of him.
You're like
no. I just remember going there, and it felt so weird because it was at his job, and he worked at a restaurant, and I'm like, all right, am I waiting for you to get off, or what's going on? And he's like, yeah, here's your beer. It was in the fridge there. I'm like, oh, nobody accidentally sold that.
Awesome.
Even better, like trade it and then pour it out on the ground in front of him. You're like, thanks, trying to get rid of all these.
Trying to get rid of
like that scene
from a personal vendetta against this beer.
Like the scene in Parks and Rec where he's like getting the fake bacon and just throwing it directly into the trash.
Oh,
that's amazing.
Everybody should do that.
I don't think I could do that. I still remember when Dakby first started, and I remember as a joke one of the admins drank a BCBS, poured an Atwater vanilla Java porter back into the bottle and recapped it, and then like on video uncapped it and dumped it, and it pissed off so many people.
Oh, I love that.
I remember.
I bet it pissed off the people that hate Anheuser-Busch too, but they line up to buy Bourbon County.
I mean, probably a little bit of both, because I was trying to think, and I'm pretty sure Goose Island has always been owned by Anheuser-Busch since we started this show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm saying the people that are like, I won't drink
Really?
Anheuser-Busch beers, but then they go and get Bourbon County.
I think they got bought in 2011.
Those are my
Yeah,
favorite people. We
They got
need to
bought
get
a while
back
ago.
on,
Yeah.
just so they'll send us beer again.
They
They sent us a great box. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
They-
Matt still works there. But I could see what's going on. I would love to get an update on them. I loved how very upfront they were about everything too, because they talked about the infected beer. They talked about the field goal competition that they had. When Cody Parker, I think, did I just pull that name out of my ass? Cody Parker missed like a 30-something yard field goal. So they set it up behind the brewery and said anyone that can kicks this gets a free six-pack every day for life or something like that. And everyone missed it.
I'm thinking Adamacon Sue trying to kick a field goal, and that's what you get.
Listen, the math was there for Sue kicking that because he won some like contest between all the O line and D line where they didn't have to do like the last run of the day if you won the kicking contest. So the theory was there, even though we lost that game by that one PAT. Let's go over the news, start chatting about what's going on within the world of craft beer. So I will, you know what? Let's start with Wendy. Wendy, you have a lot you wanted to talk about. What did you want to talk about today?
So I actually have two articles that really kind of sat with me. So let's talk about Tilray, I think. So
Okay.
Tilray, the Tilray beer brand actually closed its acquisition of 8 beer and beverage brands from Anheuser-Busch, officially making them the 5th largest craft brewer in the country, holding 5% of the craft beer market share. They are the number 1 craft brewer in the Pacific Northwest, 4th in the Southeast, and 5th in the Northeast. What I found most interesting about this article is that the response by 10 Barrel Brewing, who actually threw a banner over their balcony proclaiming that they were now with less Anheuser-Busch, crushing cans and spraying beer in what I quote is a jubilant display. I guess that's where the quote should go. The press release final sign-off even said, "Bye, Felicia. Now let's get back to business." So 10 Barrels Brewing founder, he was the original founder, Chris Cox, who still manages the brand, said they were excited for 10 Barrel and our new partner, Tilray. Our team has always been focused on making the best beer and most importantly, having fun. 10 Barrel winning, more equals more fun, more innovation, less PowerPoints, less Zoom calls. Let's go. Now, let's go is one of my favorite sayings, so I guess he kind of resonated with me there. But because Tilray is a cannabis corporation, this puts 10 Barrel Brewing and the others acquired back into the craft beer status. So they're able to join all the craft beer organizations. They're able to take part in stuff in the industry again. But there are some naysayers out there that remark that the change of ownership is not a big deal because they're just trading one massive owner for another. Some even went as far as to say it's strange that 10 Barrel owners spent a decade defending their independent status, found new assets under Anheuser-Busch, but then they're now disparaging it. So I'm curious for your guys' opinion. Is it a big deal? Should it be a big deal? And do you get the icks from the group who sold to Anheuser-Busch making such a big deal about the sale? Does it change your opinion of this brewery? I guess I'm just interested in your take on this whole story.
I'll start because
go for it, Dan.
I'm sorry, Ken. So I live in a state that our biggest craft brewer is owned by Anheuser-Busch. the people, the naysayers, yeah, I get a bad feeling about those people because, just like Goose Island, they're the ones lining up to get BCBS, even though they've been owned by Anheuser-Busch forever. And way, way back in the day, even when it was the original 14 episodes, we had, was it Craft Beer Check or Craft Beer Checker?
That was an official, not an original. That was
yeah.
in our studio and
that wasn't the Good
that was like
Morning
episode
Miss Bliss.
5 or 6. Yeah, it was not Good Morning. Wow, what a Saved by the Bell reference in 2023.
That wasn't the Good Morning Miss Bliss episodes.
All right, Zach Morris, continue.
But when he was on, and God, I forget his name, but he said once you're not craft beer, you can never go back to being craft beer again. I personally think it's garbage. 10 Barrel's a good brewery. They always put out solid beers, even though I don't like a lot of the styles they make. Stop ragging on these guys for making business decisions. These are businesses where, livelihoods are involved, and, people have to think about what they do. They sell these assets off because, they're in the business to make money. Stop giving them a hard time for doing so. Their beer doesn't change. It's just as good. So if you're out there ragging them, don't drink their beer then. Like, who cares? They probably don't care either. So I think they're absolutely craft beer.
That episode was January 2016.
Oh boy.
Craft Beer Check with Rudy Jachan, Jahchan. It's probably pronounced something else. I have no idea. The app no longer exists. The app was a interesting app that allowed you to scan SKUs to see if a specific brewery had been bought by another brewery. So I believe that was like Blue Point, I think, was one of the big ones at that time where a lot of people didn't know that
Ballast Point.
Not Ballast Point, Blue Point. Ballast Point was bought by Constellation, but this was before that even.
Gotcha.
Blue Point was one of the big ones that I remember the first time I ever understood what a craft beer under a major conglomerate was. Even though I understood what like Killian's was, like Blue Point, like Killian's, I just knew it was Coors. It just felt like it was Coors. But Blue Point, on the other hand, like there's no real mention of Anheuser-Busch on the labels. That's what the whole point of that craft beer check was for. If you look at this, what I'm showing you is all the beers that are back under Tilray. Like, I don't know too many people that are going to tell you that Shock Top is not craft anymore. I think they have just such a weird separation of life versus all these other beers like Green Flash, Widmer, Montauk, Alpine. Like, I think Shock Top, a lot of people are going to say it, but again, you don't want to, bite the hand that's feeding you. Like 10 Barrel's going to kiss ass to Anheuser-Busch because they're part of Anheuser-Busch. And like, they're the ones that are paying for their, what they probably didn't have before Anheuser-Busch bought them, their benefits, their health benefits, their 401k, their retirement. And now Tilray can still probably offer that to them as a major conglomerate. But let's take a step back and look at Perrin. Do we call Perrin not craft right now? They're owned by Monster fucking Energy. Like, it doesn't, I just feel like it shouldn't. 2016 Ken, episode 10 Ken, probably would say something different, but now it's just like, what does it matter? Like, just enjoy what you drink what you enjoy. These breweries that are getting bought out, like, they're probably still happy. As I said, they're getting their benefits that they weren't getting. How many breweries give benefits?
Yeah. To your point, I was going to say, like, if they're still able to take care of their employees, if not better, right? Like, that's really what it's about. They're the ones that make the beer. They're the ones that create that atmosphere.
That's all that it should be about.
Yeah. I quick Google search something around like, what was it, $300 million deal for a transfer of several different brands. But that's not chump change. That's a lot of money. And I can't imagine what the owners of like 10 Barrels must be feeling like. Yes, we did it. We made it. So,
well, you're also going to realize that all of these places like Widmer's in the Pacific Northwest, I don't know if it's Oregon or Seattle, now you can go make weed products in probably one of their facilities because you can go brew Widmore somewhere else if you need to. Alpine Beer, they're probably in Colorado, another one where you can go brew CBD type products. Like that's when Two Roots purchased Rochester Mills, that seemed like that was the initial writing on the wall. Like I was surprised they sold the business before selling the business to brew weed, like brew CBD products, or not CBD, THC products there. I think this is just too good of a thing for Tilray. They have the money to do it. Why not?
If someone offered me tens of millions of dollars for a business that I owned and worked hard on, and I knew that they were going to take care of my employees, I would have a hard time saying no.
Yeah, that's something we've talked about on this show. Like people, we always joke like everybody's got a price for these bigger breweries, but in reality, if you're taking care of your employees and you're protecting the brand, they don't care as long as everything's good. I'm sorry, Dan.
No, so I'm looking at these brands. I'm glad you got that thought in first. You know, I wonder what the volume of these beers. Like I see Red Hook ESB in there. When's the last time you had a Red Hook ESB? Or when's the last time you had a Shock Top? I know Shock Top's a good gateway one to get in there, but I'm curious about the performance of some of these beers that they picked up and if it was really worth it.
I went to that bowling alley when we remember how we talked about Shock Top was a bowling alley beer, and then we went to it. I went to that bowling alley again this past weekend. It was not there.
Oh, it was gone. They got rid of it.
Yeah.
Did they have the pretzel wheat this time?
They did not have any Shock Top beers there. So
I haven't thought of pretzel wheat in so long. Holy shit.
You don't need it. It was a terrible beer.
No, you don't need to drink that or
Terrible.
think about it.
It just had like a Ratatouille moment, but like the opposite.
So I tend to agree with everything you guys are saying. My thing is the naysayers that are like, oh, they're flip-flopping on this. If a business makes a decision that they think is going to be in the best interest of their business, and then they figure out that it's not actually in the best interest of their business, and they're able to switch ownership that will put them back on the right track, why would you not be happy for them? Like, it's still so we've had different people, different opinions on the show. New Glarus, when they were on, said they chose not to sell to Anheuser-Busch because they didn't like the way things went with that company, with when they would take over. Understandable. Then we had Goose Island on, and they explained to us all the differences that we thought they would be other differences, like they'd be hiring new people and they'd be firing people, but it was still the same people working there. The difference was that they got better benefits, they got higher pay. You know, there were a lot of good things that came about it. So why would we condemn a business for trying to make that decision that's best for their company and then being happy when it was reversed, if it was actually better for their company to reverse it? I guess that's my whole thing. Like Ken said, stop complaining and just drink the beer you like.
100%. I agree.
That is true. That is true. I wonder if it could also be like an element of like gatekeeping, right? People feeling
totally gatekeeping.
Yeah. It's that ownership of somebody else's stuff, but it's like, oh, I knew them when they only had like, you know, a 3-barrel system, stuff like that. Now they sold out, man. And not to bring music back, but that's what people said about Metallica when they made a music video. Oh, they sold out. You know, well, they're making money.
So true. Yeah,
well,
sure allowed to do.
Let's be honest, Anheuser-Busch hasn't made the best decisions when it comes to their brand lately. Regardless of which side you're on of this whole fiasco that they've had where their sales are dropping, it was a bad decision on both sides. So I don't understand why you wouldn't want to distance yourself from that.
Yeah, that's fair. You can get Bud Light for like a penny these days when you bail in that rebate. So yeah, it's good to distance yourself and, but don't get mad at people who also sold to them. It's at the
Right?
end of the day, it's about, these people created this company. They're doing what's best for themselves and their employees. Don't get mad at them and be like, oh, I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
drinking
that's
your
the
beer
American
anymore.
dream.
You liked it before. What changed with the beer? You're mad because of the ownership? Like, get out of here.
So the choices of I lost my my presentation here. The
Oh, good
choices
job.
I know, I ruined everybody's life. I was able to find the production numbers for 2020. And there are a handful of these breweries that are at 100,000+, including some of the breweries under Craft Brew Alliance. Shock Top was at 170. Wicked Weed, which did not sell, is at 115. Blue Point did 75K. Like, a lot of these breweries are still making a decent chunk of beer. Which
These are barrels.
yeah,
Sorry.
these are all barrels. Yep.
That's a lot of beer that they're selling.
Yeah, so like the top breweries, as you can see right here on it's Yingling, Boston, Sierra Nevada, and I mean you're getting into they're the number 5, so they're going to be right above Gambrinus, so Trumer and Shiner, at number 5. So they're somewhere around 500K. So they're producing 500K a year between all those brands.
Yeah, they're up there. So people are drinking these beers. So contrary to what I said, when was the last time you had a Red Hook ESB? So they're going to be doing well with these brands that they brought on.
Yeah, I
Do
think
they
Red
still sell
Hook.
those at Costco?
What was that?
The only place I can ever get a Red Hook was Costco. So do they still sell them there?
Yeah, and I used to see Red Hook in like random grocery stores in northern Michigan. That was like the craft brand you could find.
Yeah, I think Red Hook is under the Craft Brew Alliance, which is under the 640K. So there's more brands in that than just Red Hook. So yeah.
No,
So that was it.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's a great point though, and once again, people get mad about this, that, and the other. I don't know. I think for me personally, and I'm just a dumb person, I just think like it doesn't really matter who owns what as long as they're treating their people well, and then they're able to also take care of their families and contribute more, whatever. But that's the hippie in me, right?
As they say, ethical consumption under capitalism is impossible, Dennis.
Now you tell me.
Yeah, now I'm having throwbacks to that Boulevard Brewing episode where I got called out for something I said a few weeks before.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The guy listened to the episode.
Yeah. And he was like, no, we actually care about this. Yeah, but go check that episode out. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Right now.
Adam Hall was a great guest, Boulevard Beer. But Dan, you know what? You were at GABF. What's your article about?
Yeah, so I didn't so much have an article. We talked about this a year ago, so I wanted to see where everyone's opinions are at now in 2023 versus 2022. So I linked to you guys the winners from this year, where you can look up medals that everyone won from GABF. Now, Michigan had a terrible showing. There weren't many breweries there. There's only 2 medals that came out of Michigan. The one that sticks in my mind is, Ken, you said a year ago that maybe these medals don't matter anymore. And I want to see everyone's opinion if winning a medal at GBF still does come down to mattering. So you can sort those by state and style, whichever you prefer. I thought it was awesome. We apparently have a lockdown on the ESB and Goza in Arizona, which was kind of amazing to see. So we had a lot of medals come out of there, but Michigan had 2 come out, one of them being at Bell's, which, people are going to say Bell's isn't a craft brewery anymore, just based on the last one. So I know I always start with you, Ken, but your opinion from a year ago sticks out the most to me. I want to see what your opinion is here in 2023.
So I noticed this as I was updating our list of craft beer medal winners on our website. And for me, the thing that I do not know, and this is something that I would like to get a little bit further, but it's not necessarily how many beer medals did we win, as much as how many beers did we invest? You know, I'm guessing Jeremy over at Royal Oak Brewery invested the Northern Kolsch into the festival. Did it now not metal because
Are you talking for the
it's
competition?
yeah, for the
Because
competition.
Royal Oak wasn't there for the festival. So yeah, keep that in mind. The festival, and for people who aren't aware, the festival and the competition are two separate things.
Yeah,
So you
so
don't have to be at the festival to review.
I'm pretty sure Royal Oak was not at the festival last year either.
They were not. No, did they win a
Yeah.
medal this year? Last year. I don't have the 2022 up.
The Northern Kolsch won, and I'm fairly certain that I saw Jeremy in not physically, but on Facebook saw Jeremy in Denver this year.
So he was probably there.
So I'm
They were there.
guessing if they're going to do that, then they're going to try to defend their title. And did 3 brand new Kolsches come in, or is this something like I used to joke about the tasting alliance, or like the New York beer competitions and stuff where everyone gets a medal. But in reality, like, do you want to state that like Royal Oak is no longer like one of the top Kolsches in the country? Like, that's how far they've dropped. Or do you want to like let's touch on the heartstrings of some of the craft beer nerds out there? Is Roke a bronze winning IPA in your opinion? Because Livewire was a bronze winning IPA, therefore it's one of the top. It was the 3rd best IPA that year in 2016. I feel like 2 things, and I'll throw it back to you. 2 things. 1, I don't think Michigan shows up to this competition as well as they used to. 2, I don't think this competition matters as much as it used to either. I think it is great for a tiny brewery. If you are Royal Oak Brewery, a brew pub, you're not tiny. You do fill up your brewery every single day, but you're a small brewery compared to some of the other ones. Does that, I can stake a medal to that beer. I can stake a medal to that. Their alt beer, I think, won bronze the year before. Like,
yep.
Can they say that? Yes. But for your big dogs, your Blue Moon, your Bells, your Founders, your X, Y, and Z, like it doesn't really do anything for them except for really, pad stats. So yes, it does great for small breweries. To be honest, this might be something where we need to do maybe some money raising for getting a cold truck to GABF to get some of these smaller breweries to bring their beer to these festivals that they think are really good, because we serve some of the best fucking beer out there. Like Bobby English ESB, amazing. Wolverine Brewing, all their fucking lagers are so good.
All their beers are lagers, aren't they?
Yes. That's, I mean, it's a very specific category. So I again, we do not, I don't think we compete on a fair level against the Southwest because it costs a lot of money to enter. It costs a lot of money to get your beer out there. And if you want your beer fresh and ready to go, like you gotta get a truck out there. You gotta get a cold truck. And the guild used to send a cold truck every year. I don't think they do that now.
I was going to say that there used to be a truck. We had people telling us, I think Brigham told us about it at one point, that they would send a truck and put anybody's beer on there that wanted to go out. So if that's not a thing, that does make it harder. One thing before that, I'm going to throw it to you, Wendy, to see what your opinion is next. I agree with you to some point, Ken. A lot of these smaller breweries do chase us. Like, for example, we have one in Arizona that's been chasing medals there. They've got 5 or 6. They got like 3 golds and 3 bronzes in a row. I think that does help sell it. But the one thing I wanted to point out, if you remember, the award presentation was happening in 2021 live. And Wendy, you would probably remember this too, while we were doing an episode. And Wren House in Arizona won for like the hazy IPA. But something we pointed out, there were like 350 entries. Do you think that's just subjective at that point after tasting 350 entries where it really doesn't matter? and it's just kind of luck of the draw? Ken, that was for
Yeah.
you. Sorry, I was just responding. Yeah, Wendy. Yeah, but yeah. So is it really an accomplishment if you beat out 300? Because can you imagine tasting 350 hazy IPAs and being able to distinctly tell them apart?
I
have
gotta
questions.
I gotta say one thing, and then I'm gonna pass it to Dennis. Is it an accomplishment? 1000%. It is an accomplishment. Is your beer bad or worse because you did not get a medal? Absolutely not.
That's a fair statement.
Agreed.
I agree with that 100%. Is it the same people tasting all 350 beers, or is it like a panel of people that like, all right, you get this 30 and I'll get this 30 or whatever?
So Insider Baseball will state that a table will get 10 beers, and then they'll potentially move 2 forward and keep 8 back.
Okay.
And then a different table will get 10 different beers, move 2 forward, 8 back. Now these numbers are arbitrary. It might be 1 forward, 9 back, 3 forward, 7 back, depending on how many beers there are in the competition. But there are like, you only get a handful of beers. Everyone gets beers. So you might get like round 1, seat 1 of the hazy IPAs, round 1, seat 9 of the next 10, and then round 2, seat 3. And you get some of, some different beers. So when you're trying to break down 300 beers, it probably takes 30 tables of 10 of 3 people. So that's 90 people round 1. And then, probably 30 people round 2, 10 people round 3, and 3 people round 4.
Got it. It's a wild bracket then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're at a table where the person does not like hazies and they got the hazy, because that's also a randomized thing too.
Yeah.
When you're in this competition, you're getting random different beers. So you might be going from when I was at the World Expo of Beer judging competition, I got to sit down, I got to talk with all the judges. There was a table that went from double IPA to like barrel aged beer to English browns. And like
some whiplash for your taste buds.
And the thing is they went from double IPA barrel aged to like something like Belgian strong, and they're like, we need something lighter. And they like had to ask the judges of the runners of the competition to give them something that's a lot lighter, because they just went through all these high ABV, high octane beers. So
can I get a Diet Coke?
Yeah, anything less. Now, Wendy, I'm curious in your opinion, because you're going through the testing to be able to judge beers, or you were at least. I don't know if you still are. How do you feel about this whole thing? Is it subjective? Are these actually the best beers that win? Just tell us your opinion about it.
I think it is totally subjective, even though you're given a set of rules that you need to follow. And like, even beer styles that I don't like, I can taste it and tell you, yes, people who like that beer are going to like it. This is the way it's supposed to taste. But when you have 300 beers and you're going through, like Ken said, with a bunch of different groups, not everybody is tasting the same beer. So that first table of 10 might have liked those 2, but the next table of 10 might have liked 2 of the other ones that they didn't send forward. So while yes, it is a huge accomplishment because you made it through all of those different rounds, you also have to know that it's probably not that your beer is not as good as the other ones. It just didn't pass through those particular judges. It's like watching The Voice. They all have different opinions. They listen to the same song, but they all have different opinions of what they're listening to.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep. Dennis, what's your opinion on this? I'm curious as the new guy here.
Well, I guess I've always wondered how they do the judging there, and that makes more sense. Like, a weird bracket style. What Ken said earlier, like, is it an accomplishment to get a medal? Absolutely. Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Do you have a bad beer if it doesn't medal? Absolutely not. It could be luck of the draw. It could be like you have a fantastic beer. There's something about this that really made it stand out compared to everyone else. It doesn't matter. Right. And also there's the context of just enormity of a competition. It's a completely subjective thing. That's my opinion. And the best beer is the one in your hand.
That's a good point. One thing I wanted to point it out too, real quick, if you looked at the hazy competition, shout out to the guys at Omega Yeast that we had on here. Ken, you can tell us the episode, but other than that, yeah, I'm glad we had a chance to talk about this. Feels like everyone's opinions did shift a little bit to where the medals do matter a little bit more, but they also don't matter. When previously, I feel like a year ago, I'd have to go back and look back where everyone was like, yeah, the medals don't matter. Who cares?
I think we have a much more defined commentary of what we mean by the medals don't matter.
I think so. Yeah,
Well,
I agree with that.
Because I
will-
think, go on, Wendy.
I will tell you that I went to Sweetwater the first time I went to Atlanta, and I had no idea what beer to pick. And there was a very long line. So I was like, hey, you just got this gold medal. Let me try that one. So that did make a decision as to what I was going to pick. I just picked the gold medal beer. It wasn't even my style. But I'm like, if they said it was good, then it must be good, right? Let me try it. It wasn't my style. I had to go back and get a different beer, but it was, I mean, it wasn't a bad beer at all by any means.
Okay, this is anecdotal. It's semi beer related, but it's award related. So my brother, Mark, he works in the film industry over in Hollywood. He's a cinematographer out there. And last year we were talking about movies, and but like, Everything Everywhere All at Once got the best picture, got everything right. And he's like, yeah, but was that an Oscar award winning movie? Like, I don't know. It seemed like everybody else liked it. He's like, but was it really an Oscar award winning movie? Like, it sure felt like it to me. But he has a different insight on that, and everyone's opinions are going to differ. And also, a lot of people saw that movie because it got an Oscar. So to your point, hey, yeah, you got a gold medal. I want to try that. In fact, I want to try 4 of it. So
you hit it on the head with the movie industry. Not everyone is going to see some of the top movies out there, because some of the top movies out there might be independent films that are a lot smaller. Or honestly, some of the top movies might be a genre that does not get an Oscar, like a comedy or a horror. So there are times where that kind of hits, where it doesn't necessarily mean you have a bad movie. It doesn't mean that the movie that won isn't good. It just means that that's good to the people that made that decision at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Good conversations.
Yeah, are you saying Jigsaw or Saw 10 isn't going to win an Oscar?
Absolutely will.
I did not see Saw 10. I think I started watching Saw 9 because somebody said it's not as gore porn as it normally was. And then it started off with the dude who plays McMurray on Letterkenny. And I'm like, oh, this is not what you said. Oh, not Saw. It was Spiral.
Oh,
Yeah,
Spiral.
Jigsaw and Spiral were the two between. Jigsaw's a
I've
great
never
movie
seen a
too.
Saw movie ever. Not one of them.
First one's really good.
It's definitely an adventure to watch the first one, and then after that, you don't need to watch anymore.
I didn't realize that there were 10 Saw movies until I saw a poster for Saw 10.
It's all
like,
good
oh.
till Donny Osmond gets his head crushed.
Oh, yeah.
Or not Donny Osmond, Marky Mark's brother,
You know,
Donnie
for a lo-
Wahlberg?
Donnie Wahlberg.
For a long time, I thought that was him. I thought that was
I
Mark
think that's
Wahlberg.
They're the
hilarious.
same person.
I have one of those what do you call it when something changes, like the Berenstain Bears and the Berenstain Bears?
Mandela.
Are you talking
effect.
about?
Yeah, so
Yep.
Mandela effect. Like, I remember when I was younger, I was a huge New Kids on the Block fan, and Donny Osmond said nasty,
Wahlberg.
said not nice
Don't-
stuff about him. So I was like,
don't
I'm
talk-
through with you, Donny Osmond.
Oh, it's Donnie Wahlberg. Or did Donny Osmond actually talk
You
shit
said
about
Donny
him?
Osmond first, but I think it's funny
Yeah,
that you
that's-
brought that up.
But
I
I
was
screwed
like,
up.
I'm through with you.
Yeah.
I'm through with you. I can't find it anywhere on the internet that he ever said anything bad about him. Like, he only says good things about him now.
See, you changed realities. You slid through to another one where that
I
doesn't
know.
exist.
No
I'm
clip
like-
through reality.
You
But
know,
I'm still through
there's
with him
This
because I
isn't
remember it happening.
Backrooms.
there's a reality where Kevin Smith wins an Oscar for Clerks 3.
Yep, there is.
Better be.
Dennis, what's your article for today?
All right. So I did pick up a couple things that do tend to go together, and bit of a downer, but also talk about the future once again. Sam from Dogfish Head talk about ongoing draft challenges, a generational problem, not a pandemic issue. It's no secret, a lot of sales are down since 2020, especially when it comes to breweries, even though they're reopening. So a couple of bullet points from the article I found here. Stalled draft beer sales, right? People are buying less on draft, even though it is better on draft. People just aren't going out as much or buying as much even. Sales of distributed draft beer have remained at the same levels reached in 2021, despite the reopening of on-premise locations following COVID-19 closures. There's a big decline in draft beer markets. And then the article goes on a bit. It kind of touches about Sam commenting that it's more of a generational issue, not pandemic, because a lot of younger people aren't drinking like previous generations have, and there's a lot of studies, a lot of people saying that health related reasons, other reasons. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a social scientist, but I just found this article very interesting. And they're talking about a shift in consumer spending, right? Pandemic driven shifts in consumer spending, particularly towards off-premise consumption, may have a lasting impact on the beer industry. People are taking it home instead of chilling at these different bars and breweries. So I guess I want to know, what do you guys think is going to happen? Is this going to be more like a leveling off kind of thing? Or are you going to see these big restaurants like Buffalo Wild Wings, 93% of their beer sales are draft, and it has dropped significantly over there as well. Is the decline in draft beer sales a generational issue, or what do you think is happening right now?
There's one comment in there that I think is very important, and that is the advent of tall boys for craft beer as well as regular beer.
That is true. Yes.
Tall boys, yes.
Here's the thing, and Dan, you're laughing, but I can't tell you the amount of times where I have now gone, and if I'm stopping on the way home somewhere, and I'm stopping at a Speedway gas station, and I'm buying a tall boy of Labatt Blue for $1.79.
No, I agree with you. I agree with that.
Instead of going to the bar and drinking at the bar, we have a membership to the local Moose Lodge, but we don't go there very often. One, because it's cheaper to drink at home, but two, I don't have a affinity. We were talking in our previous episode about places we have to go when we go to a city, like a brewery. When I go to the Troy area in Troy, Michigan, I'm always going to the Gathering Place. That is probably the biggest thing that I will make sure to stop at if I'm in the area and I have the time. But now, price wise, time wise, everything like that, I'd rather come home, crack open a beer, play some slots on DraftKings on my phone app, and watch TV.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
Brought up a good point, Ken. No, you're totally fine. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. So you brought up a good point, Ken. Now, I know you and I have kegerators, Dennis and Wendy. I don't know if you do, but having a keg at home makes it's really cost effective, especially if you want that beer that you have on tap. And even what you just mentioned about tall boys, Ken, even when I go to the craft beer bar, not a brewery that has the store and the bar, excuse me, you can grab a tall boy or a pint out of the fridge and take it into the bar. And it's even more cost effective to do that. So I can get a pint of something on draft for, say, $7 or $8. I can grab a pint of Old Rasputin for $4.50. So maybe that is kind of killing craft beer too. We've talked about it before. These millennials and whatever Gen Z's called, if they have their own word, they're not drinking as much beer. They're going to these RTDs, they're going to seltzers, they're going to non-alcoholic options. It really almost feels like beer, and especially craft beer, is like a Gen X and above thing right now, with a lot fewer of these newer generations really drinking it.
Yeah. And Wendy, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it too, because there's a generational divide. There absolutely is, and there's probably more of an economic divide more so than anything, to be completely honest with to Dan's point. It's a lot easier to just grab a beer from the fridge and then take it home. So what are your thoughts on, like, decline in draft beer sales?
Well, so when I picked out the beer for today's show, the Aldi beer,
Yeah.
I thought about it because I am a huge proponent of drink local. I want to promote Michigan beer as much as I can, but I also understand that there are times when you can't afford to spend $10.99 on a 4-pack
Mm-hmm.
when you can spend $7.99 on a 6-pack,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same ABV. It's
Mm-hmm.
again, it's not a bad beer. Like, you have to make choices sometimes. So, I mean, I get the economic divide. I wonder though sometimes, like Dan, you mentioned it's with the Gen X and above thing. A lot of my Gen X friends who are craft beer people have told their kids, when you're in college, you should be drinking the cheap beer.
That's a fair point. Yeah, you should be
So
drinking the hams and the
even though we're
Bud Ice.
drinking
Natty
the good
Ice.
beers and
Yeah.
paying a little bit more money for them, we've instilled in our kids that it's not their time to do that yet. Like, they should be drinking the cheap stuff and just having fun. So maybe that has something to play with it.
When I was growing up, I was just told, if you have sex, you will get pregnant and you will die. That was what I was told.
You will die, and you will die. Is
You
it
will
the
die.
same thing?
100%.
But
You're gonna
yeah,
get some kind of disease, or
you will get chlamydia and you will die. Well, okay, and that's a very fair point though too, right? Younger people are not in the same economic bracket that people older are. They can spend that more discretionary money elsewhere. They can go to the bar, they can go to the brewery, they can go to their local spot, and that makes perfect sense to me. And then even now, younger generations are at a more of a disadvantage just because of the economic situation that they've been born into. They're not able to do that. And also, so I also coach. I do a lot of personal training at a local gym here, and a lot of younger people, they just don't drink. And that actually goes into a second article that I found about how brands are addressing non-alcoholics' biggest barriers. There's a big movement in NA beers, Athletic Brewing Company. Look at them, right? And they're crushing it right now. And there's even other companies out there making non-alcoholic spirits, which I personally don't see a point in for me. But I'm sure that's someone else's jam, right? Making mocktails and whatnot. That's a whole market out there as well.
Former host Rob was a big, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
was a
by all
big
means.
mocktail guy. Ken, you could probably tell us better what he used to drink, but that was his jam up until he left the show.
He was making some like old fashions and random drinks with some of that spiritless and Kentucky 73, I think it was called. So yeah, like I've made plenty of 7 and 7 type drinks, like ginger ale, or 7-Up and whiskey, or ginger ale and whiskey with the spiritless. So I personally have never had any issues with spiritless NA. Like, it's always been an extra thing, but those beverages are meant to be mixed. Like, they're not meant to be made neat.
Yeah. They're not supposed to be a culinary experience all on their own. They're supposed to be an adjunct, a mix-in, like you said. And I'm not saying that market is going to swing that way violently.
Why are they still $60 then?
Probably because they can't. I don't know. Maybe they can't make it in bulk, or they haven't had that chance to make it at scale that other companies can.
But
that's a great question.
$60 for a spiritless gin when I can just buy the gin for $40.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. Well, different goals though, too, right?
Right.
Yeah. Why am I buying spiritless vodka for a whole bunch of money when I can get 5 o'clock for like $7.99? Like, let's think about that.
I think it's all flavor based. Like, if you're not getting a good flavor out of it, then you shouldn't be drinking it. But a lot of these spiritless cocktails are giving you the flavor of whiskey, of gin, of vodka without the buzz.
Doesn't give a good flavor.
Absolutely not. Yes, I am saying that.
I
Well,
can't.
let's just put it out
Mhm.
there. If they want me to try it, they can send us some, and I will be more than happy to give them my opinion live on
Hey,
air.
Yeah, good point.
Spiritless, if you're listening, Better on Draft is looking to try your stuff. So give
Yeah,
us a shout out. Yeah.
because there's times when I do want to have a drink, but I don't want the alcohol. So
Yeah. So, I mean, and just like in our last episode, we were talking about music and how it evolves, right? So, drinking tastes evolve, culture evolves, and seeing how some people, well, and being inclusive is a big important thing, especially these small breweries. See a lot of LGBTQ plus owned breweries, women owned breweries, and you're starting to see it expand out of the manosphere, so to speak, right? And then they're also wanting to include people that don't drink or like are the designated drivers or something along those lines. And if more breweries are starting to make more non-alcoholic beers to cater to that crowd, I don't see a problem with that at all. I think that's really awesome to include people on that. It is interesting to see how these articles are phrasing it. Like, oh, they're cutting into beer sales. Like, well, breweries can pivot too and should if they want to stick around.
Oh,
true story.
100%. So it's funny you bring up the non-alcoholic. A lot of breweries have to contract that out, if I understand correctly. We've
Hmm.
talked to a lot of breweries where they don't have the dealcoholizing equipment to do it. So that does make it difficult. But I'll tell you this, and there's still a stigma against non-alcoholic beer. I was talking to someone online and they were like, why no one should be at the bar if they're not getting drunk. I'm like, then why do these breweries have non-alcoholic beers? They absolutely want those people there. There's just a stigma out there. Like, there's nothing wrong with going to the bar and drinking a Heineken Zero.
Mm.
But there's people out there that are like, if you're not getting drunk, you shouldn't be there. It's like,
They're just as bad
guarantee
as
you-
the people that are yelling at you for not drinking craft beer, saying, "Oh, you're drinking Sex in a Canoe because you're drinking Budweiser." Like,
yeah, like, well, that's an opinion. I'm glad you have it. It doesn't matter. I guarantee these bar owners are like, come on in and have your Heineken Zero. Like, and then you have these bars exploring like craft non-alcoholic options because people are buying, the macro non-alcoholic. So it's a good thing to see. I just wish the stigma would go away.
it's just the bros of beer. Like, there's too much. What's the good word for it? I was about to say abuse, but abuse is peer pressure. There's too much peer pressure when it comes to alcohol. I mean, how many times, but talk about anything that involves alcohol aside, softball league or beer league, bowling, darts, cornhole, like all of these events, like going to a pub trivia night. There's no restaurant trivia. You got to go to a pub. You got to go to a place that serves alcohol. So there's a lot of things that revolve around beer or drinking, and sometimes even over drinking, over indulging. And when we were talking about when you were talking about, as a college kid, like make sure you drink the college kid beers, your Hams, your Bud. Like even then, people are a little too peer pressury when it comes to alcohol. And I think, Dan, you bring up the word stigma. I think that peer pressure is the best way to. It needs to end.
Yeah,
people need to stop. And I'm guilty of it. I'll be 100% guilty of it. I will admit it. I should say. And I think as I've grown older, I learned a little bit more because I would offer people drinks and I'm like, oh, why aren't you drinking? It's free. Like, you should drink. It's free. I'm giving it to you. Like, drink, come on. And now I'm like, wow, I was an asshole because I'm pushing something on someone that did not want that something. And, sure, hindsight's 2020, but as long as I learn from it, I think that's a good thing to understand. And that's where I think we need to move as a culture. And I'm going to be honest, I think the young generation's going to push it. I don't think they're going to take it. I think they're going to look at the person who's like, oh, come on, why aren't you drinking, guy? Like if I was at like the Moose Lodge with a bunch of like, boomers and,
bunch of retired people.
Yeah. Your Clint Eastwood, Gran Torino people.
The
and
guys
I'm watching
salt in their beer.
Yeah, And I'm sitting there drinking an NA beer, and they're like, "Oh, why are you drinking that?" And they're probably using some type of offensive language to whatever they call me.
It's none of your
And
business.
Whippersnapper.
And that's the thing is, I think the younger generation is a lot better at like countering that. I think millennials are starting to get to that point. Like, I think the millennials are the first generation to start being like, well, fuck them for thinking, oh, that's how they grew up. Like, they need to evolve and move forward. A Gen X too, hell yeah. But I think within the alcohol industry, I think we just need to crush that as a collaborative. Everyone needs to, stop that.
Yeah.
It's funny that you. Oh, go ahead, Dennis. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, if people don't want that product, give them something that they want. Simply put. Yeah.
But, I was going to make a point that it's similar to what we were talking about. People are like, oh, that's not craft beer anymore. That it's the same people like, oh, you're drinking non-alcoholic. The bar owners are putting it in there. They want these people around. It's just that subset of people that are like, oh, you're drinking a non-alcoholic. What's wrong with you? No, that's like, knock it off. People are allowed to have a good time and not drink, which is the best part about it.
If you are drinking so much that you feel bad that other people around you aren't drinking,
yeah,
you should probably not be drinking.
You can absolutely have a great time. I go out somewhere quite a bit and only drink NAs. Like knock it off, and no one cares there. It's not one of those places, but there's a lot of people out there. Like, just drop it. Like, just grow up.
Here's the thing too is I think, like, within my friend group, even we, as people don't drink or people know that that's the designated driver, like, that's a lot of people are making the extra effort to have the NA beers, to have the alternative beverages, so that if you want to partake in the party, quote unquote, like, you can still join us with your NA beer. Or as Cynthia puts, she's a wine drinker. They have NA wine out there. So if you're going to be drinking, and you want to drink your rosé, but you don't want the buzz because you got to drive or you're the DD.
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Or if you're just not about that life, which is totally fine.
Which is fine too.
I think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Dan, I think because we're in the world of craft beer, we deal with beer people. We deal with people who drink alcohol. So it's not very common for us to associate within this podcast, this industry, someone who is a natural because they're recovering, because they're because of their religion. We don't necessarily see that within this industry, but as people come into this industry because they don't drink, but they drink NAs, we're going to have to be a lot more welcoming, as we are here at Better on Draft, but as a collective, we need to be more welcoming and understand, oh, you don't drink because of your religion? Perfect. Great. Let's get you an athletic goal, or a Sam Adams or a Brooklyn Hoppy Amber, and we could talk about it. And some of them don't even want that because they want nothing that's, they want 0.0. And you can be NA at 0.5, but they don't want alcohol, period. So you got to find a 0.0.
So one more quick thing. I know we have I'm sorry. We have another article still. So
no, we're cutting it after this. This is the last article.
So we had someone on, and God forbid, because I can't remember this, so forgive me. It wasn't Athletic, but someone else who did an NA brew.
We had Partake on.
Was it Partake?
Partake, yep.
Yeah.
But they were saying, they want even people who had previous drinking issues to be able to enjoy something like this without it having alcohol. And that's something you got to think about. These guys can have, a beer without it having any alcohol in it. It's a great thing. It's more inclusive, and it makes them not fall off the wagon. So it's a great thing to have out there in general. And, when you're out there attacking someone over not drinking this, you don't know where they're coming from. Like, they're just enjoying a non-alcoholic beer to have a good time. Don't be out there be like, oh, you're not drinking beer. So think about that for a second before you actually do that.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter that I'm drinking a Two Roots beer non-alcoholic beer next to you while cheering on the Lions.
Yeah, perfect example. I was out there Saturday afternoon before flying home. I was hanging out at GABF at the non-alcoholic section because, I had to be functional to go through the airport. So I spent a lot of time drinking the non-alcoholic beer. It's just, don't get mad at someone for doing that.
I think that is a good thing to end on, folks. It doesn't matter what you drink, whether it is beer, wine, like Cynthia over in YouTube. I believe she is a rosé fan as she gave us a nice little rose. Alcohol, spiritless, non-alcoholic. Enjoy what you drink what you enjoy, and what other people enjoy. If they like it, it's a good beer, wine, seltzer, whatever. Don't yuck someone's fucking yum. Period. Yeah. Don't yuck their yum. My name is Ken. For Dennis, Dan, and Wendy, this is Better on Draft. And no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft. Have a good night.
Cheers.